I am fascinated, and I don't know how we do this with data, but I am fascinated by the concept that every team that drafts a quarterback who is above average are just going to now, when his contract comes up, make him the highest paid player in the league, right? And I don't mean to knock Trevor Lawrence. He's a good player, and he may very well wind up having a very good career. He was the chosen one at one time, right? He was going to be the next great one, and he looked like he was headed in that direction, and they fell off a cliff last year, and I don't know what happened. Jalen Hurts had one really good year. And I don't know that I phrased the question or framed it correctly when we were talking about it with Kevin earlier. But baseball is where I know this expression from, right? It's wins above replacement, right? So what a replacement level player in baseball is a guy you would bring up from AAA.
That's right.
That's what the definition is. Mm-hmm. So if you are, I don't know, who's the best third baseman in baseball right now?
Jose Ramirez.
Okay. If you're Jose Ramirez, how many more wins in a season, in a 162-game season, are you worth than if we just brought the best third baseman up from AAA and put him at third all year long? Is that number 2 wins, 3 wins, right? Like, that's a very, very high value.
In his case, it's probably 5 to 7 a year.
Okay. So that's the best person at his position.
That's right.
So sort of take that out of the course of a 162-game schedule, divide it by 10 because we play 17 games in football, and you tell me what is because the solution, the replacement player in football that I'm talking about is not bringing someone from college. I'm talking about bringing the best backup, the best caliber, the Gardner Minshew, Drew Lock. I mean, Geno Smith had a phenomenal year in Seattle. You put the right pieces in place, you put good coaching around someone, you get a little luck, and next thing you know, you have Baker Mayfield having an unbelievable season and Geno Smith having an unbelievable season. And who's to say that Drew Lock can't? And Daniel Jones having one great season. I'm not saying those guys are as good as the people we're talking about. I'm saying, are they $40 million worse? That's what I'm asking.
It's a great question. It's the right question, and that's exactly where we are. Everybody who is reasonably good, we'll call it average or better, is getting upwards of $40 or even $50 million a year. Daniel Jones is not a good quarterback. He earns $40 million a year. And given the constitution of the salary cap, you have to create an inflection point for yourself. I think Miami did the wrong thing. I think Green Bay did the right thing. We have enough data on Tua that says, in that offense, I am highly functional, especially when I'm earning relatively little money. The coaching staff is great, and the group of players around me is even greater. In the case of Tua next year and subsequently the years after, the answer to that question is going to change because the math changes. The roster can't be nearly as good. Mike McDaniel's a great coach. Pay him to be a great coach. Allow Tua to go year to year, or do whatever you can to recoup as much value for him as possible. That's what I would have done, but it's very easy for me to say when I'm not the one that actually has to make that decision.
Right. And there are a lot of other variables that we're not talking about, like Kevin Clark brought up, the idea of stability at that position and what it means for the whole franchise's psyche. I get that part of it. And how do you put a dollar value on leadership? And are most of these quarterbacks the leaders of their team, the faces of their franchise? How much is all that worth? Like, I get that there are other variables in all of this. All I'm saying is, every time you draft a quarterback and he gets to the end of his deal and you still want him, like in a vacuum, I'd still rather have him than not. You now just have to make him the highest paid player in the league. Like that's become the logical progression. And I think someone should buck that trend and see how it goes.
The agents are so powerful. Owners are beholden to the quarterback agent. Over the next 4 years, starting with Tua's new contract, Patrick Mahomes' cap hit is $232 million over that time. Tua's is $226. Over a 4-year span, he and Patrick Mahomes are going to count nearly exactly against your cap. We're talking about an enormous advantage for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
If you want to actually have a chance to win, the answer is not, let's make sure we have a good quarterback. The answer is, let's make sure that the amount of money that we're paying our quarterback is commensurate with the value that he's providing on the field.
I think that's 100% right. And it's very difficult to put into words, but I think we're both saying the same thing.